Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back with another episode of the Business of Pleasure podcast, sponsored by Bedroom Candy. I'm your girl, Kash, your sexologist bestie, and we are here with another spicy episode. Now listen, it's Women's History Month, y'all. So we are going to be talking about some subjects that really embody power, autonomy, freedom, expression, and pleasure. This is your one-stop shop where pleasure meets sexy and success and merges them together. Here at Bedroom Candy, we love putting the fun in funds. So if you are ever watching an episode of ours, seeing our amazing products, hearing from our amazing guests and educators, do you want to consider joining our community? Head over to www.bedroomcandy.com and hit that join tab and come and join the team that's always lit. Always lit. Now, y'all know I'm crazy if y'all the spicy without making sure I brought together some individuals who are not only going to educate you guys, but have some conversation as to how you like this the whole time. All right. And I am so honored to be bringing to you guys BK educators and experts, Sir Daniel and Slave Sunflower. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, y'all already know. Let me tell you guys, we had our Bedroom Candy annual convention last year, and we were blessed to have both of them join us for our kink panel. And our community fell in love with them. So I already know that you guys are going to love everything that you guys hear today. We're going to be taking this conversation through a little bit of a journey, but I hope that you guys are ready because this episode can be a little bit of a trigger warning for some. There are going to be some topics that come up that are deep, that are emotional, but y'all know I'm crazy, so I'm going to make y'all laugh. I'll make a joke about a penis or something, and y'all be fine. All right, so kick it into gear. What I would love to do is to allow you both the opportunity to speak for yourself, tell them a little bit about you, the kind of things you have going on. I know that you guys have so much happening, and I really would love you guys to speak about what's going on with y'all. How y'all feeling? Give me a story.
Well, hello, my name is Slave Sunflower. Sunflower is just for short. I am what most people call a little Southern Belle. I am originally from North Carolina, just in case you couldn't hear the accent when I talk. But I have been in the kink and leather communities now for almost 10 years. I started out as a bottom, I transitioned to a submissive, and now what I am as a slave. I am now the property of the slave of Sir Daniel of House of TST, and I am very happy to be here and share a little bit about myself.
Come on, Sir Daniel.
Sir Daniel. I've been in the kink community since I was 20. That's almost 30 years off and on. We have been in the leather community for probably about 15 of the years, and we have several things going on with us when it comes to the kink community. I am a co-producer of Northeast Conference of Kink in Baltimore. We have Fetish Ball every year, and that conference is for educating about kink and about what we do in the kink community. So we also have Tender Stroke Toys, Tender Stroke Entertainment. So we have our hands in a little bit of everything.
A little bit of a lot of bit of everything. And let me just tell you guys, last year's Kink conference was amazing. You're going to want to make sure that you are there if you can be. This July, we're coming back. That falls on the 13th through 13th. So make sure you guys check into this. It's going to be a safe space, super safe space. And we are inclusive of everyone there. I was so honored to get an invitation from Sir Daniel and his team to join their board of directors. And we are really working on some spicy stuff. And after this conversation, we're not going to really need to convince you why you need to be there. Okay. So to kind of kick in this conversation and hearing you guys introduce yourselves, I know a lot of viewers are new to kink, right? Specifically, even in the BDSM realm. And a lot of people have a lot of questions because the perceptions that are out there often leads them down the wrong path of what this might look like, or thinking that one thing is the same thing for everyone. And what I really wanted to talk about in this conversation is those consensual power dynamics, right? Obviously in Women's History Month, a lot of people are probably curious about why we want to talk about whips and chains and handcuffs, right? But there is something you shared when you said your name, and you said that you go by Slave Sunflower. And I know to some, they're going to be like, huh? So I wanted to take some time first, right, to really kind of break this down, because obviously historically for us as Black people, the term master, the term slave represents being held down, represents being enslaved, represents someone taking away your power. But we've redefined that in kink. And I would love for you to speak to to that honorific of what that means for you and how we are healing ourselves as a community through BDSM and reprogramming what these things mean to us.
So, it's a really good question. I get asked this question quite often, actually, because of the way that I identify. And my slavehood is very important to me. Especially now during Black History Month, when we think about the entrapment that our people were in, the trauma that it has caused, not just those that were in it, but so many generations afterwards, the traumatic just feelings that we get when we think about it. But in those terms of being entrapped and being bound and not feeling any type of freedom, that's why it's so important for me that when I do explain it, I'll let people know now that it's a freedom like no other for me, because my freedom comes consensual. They didn't have any say so over what happened to them. They couldn't speak for themselves. They had no power, no authority, all of those things were taken away from me. And what it is with being a slave, he can speak more about the mastery. But for me as a slave, what it means is me taking back my power. And it's a two-part thing for me, because I got married really young. And so I'm also a survivor of domestic violence. So it's a two-part way. During my 14 years of marriage, 11 of those years, I spent being beaten and being financial, sexual, like just all sorts of rights that I was supposed to have were taken away from me. But for being a slave, it's a way for me to relinquish my power and my authority over to Sir Daniel. But I still have the control, because at any moment, if I don't like what's going on, if I can't take what's happening, I can take my power back. They didn't have that right. So now I can stop everything that is happening to me by a safe word, by using my stoplight system, by whatever means that we have set up, and just say, look, okay, it was fun, but I can't do this anymore. So that's one of the best parts about the slavehood part. I'm still under his authority. I'm still under his control. For us, we have a 24/7 live-in TPE. TPE, Total Power Exchange. That is one form of power dynamic. I'm hoping later, as we grow and progress in our dynamic, that it goes to a total authority transfer. So that way I will relinquish every single part of me over to him. It takes time, it takes trust, it takes communication, it takes negotiation, which I'm sure we'll get more into that later on. But however, that's the most important part to remember about this slavehood. We don't think of it as I'm still banged. I still get all those things, but I get it. She was like, so you want to make that, but I get it in a consensual manner, and that is the most important part. It's consent. Consent to me is important, but I always say consent is sexy. So that's where that freedom comes from. It allows me to relinquish all of me over to him. I'm still an adult. I still think for myself. However, being able to give those parts to him allots me a freedom that, because of what I do during the daytime, when I get home to him, it is something completely different. And I can take that mask off, or disrobe that authority that I've been having all day long, and get that over to him.
Now, sir, before you tap into the other side of that, there is something that you shared just now that I want to bring to the top. I too am a survivor of domestic violence. And honestly, for our community, the statistics around how many of us are, right? And some people don't recognize what that can look like. And as a woman, for me, practicing autonomy and that liberation and that freedom is a freedom from being entrapped in things that you didn't even realize was entrapment. So I do want to say this, because a lot of times we have viewers listening and you may not know whether or not you're in one of those circumstances. And do know that it doesn't just show up physically. It can be emotional. It can be mental. Like you said, financial. There are so many different ways that a person can get taken away your power. If you feel that you are in a circumstance like this, please, please, please take time and get to this number right here. This is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And this is where you can reach out and get that help and find out if there is a safer space for you to exist in. Now, with that being said, that's why this community is so big on safe space. And you can't have safety without consent.
Yes.
Right. And I agree with you. Consent is extremely sexy. It is nothing like when you got somebody who is literally checking in on you and constantly reassuring you and making sure that they're not crossing your boundaries, but also empowering you to test your boundaries in a safe way. Because there's a lot of stuff we want to try, but we don't always have, the safety to do so. So with that, I want to come to you, sir, because you're the person who helps create the safety, right? Not just for your committed slave, but also for the individuals when you're in your line of work who may try out different types of kinks and things. And in a short period of time, you have to establish rapport with people to make them feel that safety. So I want to talk about that. But first, can you take some time to speak to them and educate them on your role in you guys' dynamic?
Well, in my role as first as a dominant in the situation, it's me making sure that she is comfortable and safe, that it's to a point now that I want her to feel the point that if I have something in my hand, she trusts me enough, like a knife or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's more of the trust situation. And even with the consent, it's always communication, because there is one thing, is a borderline between consent and abuse. And normally in the BDSM dynamic, as the master, I can actually control everything, but it's being controlled by her guidelines that she has given me. If I cross any of those guidelines, that is the consent of abuse other than consent. And a lot of these people these days use the word master or use the word daddy, but a lot of them don't know what it is. It's a lot of responsibility to do that. And what you have to do is understand the person that you're with, but also understand what they're looking for. Because without her, I can still call myself a master, but where am I putting my skills into? Out of all these years, I'm still learning because this is a new person in my life. So we have to basically just start off like a new job. Bring her in, see what she likes, what she don't like, and then we progress every year. And every 6 months to a year, we'll do a progression of how far we can go going from there.
You know what I love about what you just you said is you still learning. And you guys heard at the beginning of the episode, you shared the amount of years of experience. I personally identify as a forever student. And I think that sometimes even especially in the kink lifestyle, people think because they have certain honorifics or because they identify a certain way within it, that just means that everybody's supposed to trust whatever they say or whatever they do. And a lot of times they're coming across people who don't know no better. Right. And don't realize that some of the things we practice can become the trauma if not done safely. So on a note of being a forever student and kind of going back to what I was mentioning earlier about you creating a safety for multiple people in multiple environments in a short period of time, what are some of the things that you do to help a person feel safe in your presence, and also to let them know that you're not too arrogant or big of yourself to be open to learning something different with that person or in with your person?
Well, normally with that, of course, my demeanor and how tall I am and how when it comes to certain people, they are very intimidated. So basically what I do is I use my tone. This is the same tone I always use. I always introduce myself, be very, very personal when it comes to that person, and then explain rules of the consent of what I'm going to do for you and let you know. And then when it comes to, if they're doing a scene or want to teach or anything else, I'll give them the basic things. And then if you want to, you can work your way up.
Okay. So it's like a square. We have to start with a foundation and build from there. And you know, I personally have been at many events, many spaces with you. And I always tell people I have my list of references, right? And there are certain people who I would send certain people to based off of what I know of them. And I've met a lot of people who are great, right, in their craft, but I wouldn't send a newbie to, right? I wouldn't send someone who don't know what they want to get into. Because there are some folks don't have the patience. It's a big thing that we deal with. And a lot of times I've even seen people get so deep in their zone and zone out that they, for 2 seconds, aren't checking on the person who entrusted their body with them. And I always described you as a sensualist, right? You're very much so a sensual dominant. Now, I have had a lot of conversations with Somebody, and I happen to know she into a little bit more extreme things. So I'm curious because, like you said, this is a new dynamic and you are slow working up and checking in. Finding the middle ground when you have someone who does all the things you like on one side, but you got an itch instead of things you like on the other side. And how do you work your way up?
May I please? Okay, because see what it is I am a masochist and I do love CNC is my go-to. So when we have weekends like this where we may have events, it's a CNC weekend for me, whatever goes. But he knows me, so it's okay to do whatever goes with me. I am a anal hook, hook suspension, fisting, and all the hoes kind of girl. So it was very new to me. And I know it sounds very weird to get all the rough things and then be very new to sensual things. So soft touches and, the lighter floggers he may use, or just him using his hands or just embracing me was very new to me. Yeah. So he really had to take baby steps with me and walk me through the process of, okay, is it okay to touch you here? Mm-hmm. Or is it okay to, do you want to feel this? Or I think we could try this. Can I try this with you? And be okay. Then even in doing that, just inching little by little, like little places here, or maybe on my knee or maybe on my shoulder. So those things, and just talking to me and walking me through it. I love a man that'll talk me through. Oh, baby. So he'll talk me through it.
Call us a good girl. Wow.
Yeah, right. That's this. Fine hydrants, water fountains all over the place. But even in that, not to get too much, but even in that, I found for me, number one, it was because of my past trauma why I liked such hard masochistic things. So we had to had to go through that and had to deal with that on that end. But then a lot of, for me and a lot of other women too, or a lot of people, I don't want to say just women, but for me and too, just people in general, it's a mental thing for me. So I had a lot of mental blockage. So squirting was a thing that I've always heard about, didn't think my body could do, always wanted to do it, never, ever, ever, until I come on Sandman the Fireman. So now, because he don't know how to honorate those purposes to us why. So he.
I love that. Butter is better, y'all.
Yes, it is. But took the time to really coach me through that. And it took some time to unblock my mental state. But I had looked back since. It's been a wonderful, wonderful year.
You know,
lovely.
I'm getting some chills, y'all. No, it's so real because those of us women who are used to enduring a lot throughout life, sometimes we don't know how to receive, right? And we want it, but we don't believe it. Right. We're hesitant about it. It's natural to go back to the thing that you're used to. And because we were enduring certain things, you actually teach yourself that is what the pleasure had where it looked like, for you. So, I always tell that, suppose when it comes to, you know, how you into these impact tools and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, just like any other child of color who may have had a parent who was not a, let's just say, what they call them, gentle parent. Yeah. If you ain't have no gentle parent, you probably be confused as to how you could even appreciate getting hit with an object. But for me, it felt like a reversal of reprogramming how I felt about those types of things. So you just, okay. Cause slow intentional connection. Slow intentional connection. It's not just about, oh, they touched you softly. It's about that they took the time to be intentional and to act with intention. Like you said, sir, they got to ask questions. So what I want to educate those on is just understanding that we can reclaim these words. We can reclaim these titles. We can reclaim these things that traditionally meant oppression and turn them into a form of liberation. And that's one thing I love about what this community does. Now, I do want to shift into our adult edutainment segment. And what we say that is, this is the time where we're going to have grown folk talk. Not that we ain't been doing it the whole time, but we have our grown folk talk, where it's designed to do a little bit more deepening of education, a little bit more specific. We'll talk about some of the amazing products that you guys see here laid out, and kind of give you a sense of how you can get started if you are interested in figuring out what does it look like for you, right? So what I do want to talk about to introduce a part of this conversation, and, you know, is collaring. Okay. Now, a lot of you, that is a gorgeous little piece there.
Yes.
Oh, you made that. So
And then you have something special, so he made it.
that is beautiful. Let's see. Y'all better get y'all a dominant. Let me say, get you one. Go and get you some. Okay. Can you talk to them about the significance of collars in our community? Can I talk about it?
Well, basically with collaring, a lot of people think it's big, bulky. It's basically like getting a wedding ring in the BDSM community. The point of you have achieved this from your master or your daddy, that you have a collar. But a lot of these people these days are more of wearing collars as a fashion statement or anything else.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that, I wanted to make sure that I made her something that was special, because of the vanilla people, the people that are not in the kink community. She can wear this every day to let her know that she has a piece of me with her at all times. Because normally, if in this type of day of age, if you're seeing someone with it or with an actual old school collar, that it was big, bulky, spiky,
And very obvious.
very obvious.
You can't go to corporate America with that.
Cannot go to corporate America with that. And we both still works in corporate America. So I wanted to make sure I gave her something to identify who she is, and still have that comfort of everyone comes up to her and say, nice necklace. But of course, some people know as identifying it is an actual collar.
Can we zoom in on this very beautiful handmade special for her collar? It is actually a really beautiful piece.
For me, it's a symbol of, it's a circle. So for me, in my heart, it's a never ending circle of commitment, of trust, the bond that we share, communication, service to him and to my community. But it also is a comfort piece for me. There are times when I do get nervous, because I am very much an introvert, that I will just touch it or rub it, and it reminds me of the safety that I feel when I'm with him. It reminds me of the trust that I have with him. And it's just a piece that, like he said, it's a piece of him. So I know that wherever I am, he's always with me. He's always got me. I'm always safe. I'm always cared for. I'm always loved. And it's just cute to me.
It is. It's beautiful. And, you know, I'll be honest, my first introduction, right, to the BDSM lifestyle I was introduced to it at a time where colleagues were, what you were talking about. And the other thing, first of all, it kind of scared me, right? I was like, I'm about to potentially, like, I got to wear that. That was well before I really came into understanding my true identity, right? But I crave submission because, and I think a lot of women or people in power positions in their workplaces, or, I'm the eldest child, I'm the eldest grandchild. I've always been in charge. I've been a business owner for years. So because everybody was always looking to me to have answers, it made me crave the other side of that and just wanting to like let my mind not have to operate. Further exploring myself in it, I realized that I also didn't want to deny my natural leadership, dominant qualities. And I was really conflicted about like, what does that mean? Like, how do I exist? So in the BDSM community, I do have something known as a switch, which basically is like the middle ground between what we have here between Sir Daniel and Slay Sunflower. Okay, so I'm going to reach behind you, okay, and grab two things because in the spirit of that conversation, one of the things we try to do is have, little things that we can all wear subtly. And back in the day, chokers was the thing. I don't know about it, but we telling age a little too much sometimes. We telling age a little sometimes, right? But this is our Vixen, Bedroom Candy's Vixen collar. And as you can see, it's very simple collar, not anything too crazy, but it is a little bit more obvious, right, when it comes down to it. But I always say to people who are introductory and they want to see how they heal, even just having a collar around your neck, because it's a commitment, right? This is one of the things that we have that I love for that. But then the other, and this actually has nipple clamps that attach to it too, right? That loop into this part right here. But to sake of this purpose, I'm not, we're not talking clamps, but do know that this comes with clamps that can adjust and tighten. And they're metal clamps, but they have a rubber cap over them that can be removed. So that allows a person to assess their pain level by tightening the clamps, loosening them, or removing the plastic cap if they really want to feel the direct metal, right? But this one right here, I have worn this out. People have complimented me on it, like with a black bodysuit, just all black. And only thing that I would have on me that would have this pattern would be this collar, right? And it's a velvety inside. So this one is better. I like it when it's in like colder seasons, because in the summertime, I said it's a commitment, right? So I'm just showing you guys examples because it doesn't, like you said, sir, have to look spiky and pointy. It can be a symbolic token that is appropriate. I also think that our Command Desires flogger necklace is another one of those pieces. And I'll have it with me here, but I'll make sure you guys get an image of that. But it is a gold chain necklace that goes around, but the bottom of it is a metal tassel flogger. The obvious eye would just look at it like another piece of jewelry. But our eyes are like, see, you gotta slide to the side real quick. So I do want to show this, but I also want to talk about another popular type of tool that is used in a lot of things that we do in this lifestyle over here. Tuck that back over there, actually. And that is floggers. And I'm going to turn to Sir Daniel because I know you're going to talk to this because Sir Daniel, he's so modest sometimes, first of all. This man has a whole company where he is crafting furniture, where he is creating tools, where he has this beautiful glow in the dark wax canvas. So I want to get into those products as well while we talk about it and also give you guys a range. So, sir, our Command Desires flogger is really more beginner mini flogger. And the reason why, and I'll tell you guys another thing, when you're traveling while kiki, like as in on an airplane, there are certain things that you have to be mindful of because floggers in a lot of airports are considered dual use items. So they will require you to check that bag if you are trying to come through with it. But this will pass through. So if you are going somewhere, you need to carry on. You still want to be able to be playful and kinky, but you can't take necessarily a big thing without spending money on a check bag. I found that this does the trick for a quick trip. All right. Now, sir, I want to lend to your expertise, right? Because obviously you guys see some of the floggers on here in the desk that sir has hand created himself. And I want to talk about quality. So first, can I ask you to put that in your hand and just describe, right? Hey, look at him. Look, I said, look at this itty bitty thing.
I do 42 things that can be done with that.
So basically with this one, it's a standard flogger. The leather is, it's a medium type leather. So what it is that when you flick it, it will feel very stingy. But when it comes to like the user actually using it, it could be very thuddy also. But it's more of a entry level beginners type flogger. And there's nothing wrong with it. And then with this one, this is to the basically like an extreme one to some extent.
So y'all see
high impact, with the unique handle on it, so you can hold it in different ways. But every flogger is different from each user. So the way that I swing it is totally different from where you swing it to the next person. So everybody that makes leather, they get it from the same place. They get it from the same people. There is no unique leather or anything else. We all go to the same spot to some extent.
Interesting.
But it's just the way that your handle makes it who you have it for in the name. When it comes to certain handles, this one is more of a metal handle. And then these are finger floggers that you basically put it through. So you can get them leather, suede, or anything else, but it's still the quality of the leather that you still want to deal with.
Right.
Because that leather is totally different from this leather.
Right.
This is motorcycle handle, like motorcycle leather that I use because of how big I am when it comes to swinging a leather, a flogger. So if I swing that, I can probably break that in 2 seconds flat. With this one, I can actually get through the motions and everything else that I feel comfortable with it.
Okay.
You have to feel comfortable of how you throw your own leather.
Right.
Throw your own flogger because it's your personal flogger. To me, if someone's going out shopping, you should always start with a beginning level one and actually do it on yourself. That's how certainly when you start learning how to do it, because if you do it on yourself and you feeling it, you already know how it feels to the next person.
I think that's a great tip because people are so quick to use things and not necessarily having any idea of what the other person might be experiencing. And, you know, as somebody like me who enjoys a range of different sensations, when I first felt this one, for example, like you said, it was stingy, and there's stingy and thuddy, right? That you heard those both words just now. And everybody's different. Some people love both. Some people prefer one. Some people prefer others. Some people don't like one but likes the other. So the materials, the weight, all of these things are going to change what you feel, but also how it's used. Because I actually love this for the sensation that I get when I'm running this softly across my back. It's a little bit more tickly. Right. Whereas weighted floggers, I like the way the air feels coming down on me, but this was a nice like tingle. So coming down my spine makes me go, ooh, and still has that sting that I sometimes like. But like you said, when it comes down to a person trying these things, the same way you just saw me hit my own hand, I know if I were to use this instrument on another person with certain force. So test everything. How does it feel when you do it light? Right? How does it feel when you really apply it? It also, you know, when you swing it, not necessarily from this handle, but from the loop, just like you have with these, I think people have to know that you should sample the sensations in different ways. Because you can get into it and don't realize that you're increasing the pain level and not know and unintentionally really harm a person. But you said you thought about 20 things that you could do. So I would like you to tell me some of the things that came to mind, but also what you would prefer one versus the other for. Okay. And let me just let you live with it because I know how it feels to just hold stuff in your hands.
Well, first of all, I am a 30 girl, so I like a good heavy hit. I will do stingy because so the crinkle cut on these provides that whip, that stingy feeling. But the leather is heavy. But also, if you want to experience being flogged and you're not really into thuddy or stingy, or you don't know what you're into, they do have rabbit fur. That is very good for things like your breast, your inner thighs. It's very super soft. You can hit that hard or light, but you'll get that flogging feeling, but it'll still be soft. Deer skin is another leather that's really soft for those that are beginner also. But with this little baby, so I looked at this, and you talked about the airplane, and I thought about our ride and how close we were sitting, and nobody was in between us, and this would have really been good use. Yes.
She want us to go to jail.
Not jail, just maybe get a warning ticket, but you know, I won't push the limits too much. But with this, because it's very soft, let's say you're in the car, not the airplane. That way we won't be going to jail this weekend. But you're in the car with your person. First of all, I don't think a lot of people look at this and see the falls. What they're missing with this instrument is the handle itself. There are so many wonderful things that you can do with a flogger this size with this handle. For someone like me who likes breast play, tapping on the breast, tapping on the nipple, tapping on the inner thigh. I also like to get slapped in the face, so that is the equivalent of a good hard face slap. So that's about 4 things right there. With the flogger and the falls themselves, again, you could go along the breast. You can do a face slap with that. The inner thighs, tickling, because it does have that softer tickling. Tickling is new for me, but you can use the ends to tickle. You can convert this over into something a little bit more stingy, because if be very careful when you do this. Dip it in water just a little bit, shake it off, but use it like with the wet towel effect. And that's how you get your stingy part to that. So there's so many, even with this, with the loop that you hold it on to, get the nipple erect, put it on the nipple, close that part. Just, it's
That's 10.
I said 42. I mean,
We can keep right. Because that's what it's about, the creativity that you have to get creative with the use. So first you start practicing things in a way that it's intended, but then you start to get, because y'all are fine. You guys have to absolutely check out Sir's workshop on beating on a budget, because you'll find that there's so many creative tools that you can turn into an object that you can use for pleasure. And I think because of the inclusivity element, we realize that most of the people who come to us are new, and we don't want to intimidate. We also want to be gender neutral. So that's why we use black and gold, because it can be, versatile. It doesn't necessarily speak to any person's gender, and it has that fluidity. And we're very big on that. And in speaking on that, that's with our heart desire paddle. Now, I will say that if you use this side of paddle, beware, it might leave a little heart on wherever it hits. And if you like to see the little prints, or you're one of those people, you might appreciate that. But if you don't want to see any bruising or any, coloring on the skin, then you want to be careful with the pressure you feel. Sunflower, is it okay if I use this on your hand? Sir, is that good with you? Or you a thigh? Thigh. He said she wanted a thigh. She said, how did she never ask? Sir, although you?
Yes.
Okay, it's very important that when people have a dynamic, that you respect that dynamic. And a lot of folks think that obtaining consent, right, from a bottom or submissive or a slave. Check in. Okay. So this side of the pattern is a little bit more soft, but it still has a lot of thug. So you can see here, I sort of like that, but obviously it work out do a little harder. Thank you. There's got a lot more impact than most people would think. And then if you flip it, because this side has padding that this side doesn't, then you can get a completely different level or range of pain. You start there, you can go up with the sting, right? So it's a nice different one. But basically what you want to do, just how you saw, I'm talking to her, I'm asking it, is it okay if I take it up? Those types of questions are important and are a part of consent. I think a lot of times people confuse getting that consent up front. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about next as we go into a little bit restraint. And then I want to talk about these candles, that I say, can I use this tool on you? And then, yes, but it doesn't mean that if I'm going to change things that I shouldn't still check in, or allow the person to kind of get a feel for it, put it in their hands, hold it, do that before they say yes. But can I ask you to describe a little bit of what you felt, and just those couple taps on each side?
The padded side, this side has a really nice soft feel to it. You can feel the cushion in there, so it's a good 30, but it's not 30 to the point where it hurts. You get a good, nice sensation of pain. This side, this little baby though, this nice smooth side gets a little thud, but it has a really good stinky feeling too. So if you're a person that enjoys both, this will be a very good product for you, because you can have the 30 on the parts that are a little bit more sensitive and that stinky on the parts where you need to feel it a little bit more. So it's really
This was also in my carry. You gotta be, we don't do this just at home. We build a dungeon wherever we go. But sir, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, because now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen you use it in a scene. And I'm grabbing our wrist restraints. There are plenty of different types of restraint, right? We carry a wrist version and an ankle version that is a little bit wider and longer to accommodate different ankle sizes. And they detach and can attach to our other products, like our a 4-corner bed restraint, or it can attach to the spreader bar, so that you don't have to purchase these items over and over to match the item. One of the things that I tell you is that kinky lifestyle could get a little pricey very quick. And especially because certain tools require certain things to be paired with them. So we try to make sure that if you get one thing, it can be versatile, used with the other products. But I wanted to talk about restraint and bondage. I say this, like I said, we talked a lot about in the beginning of the conversation at Autonomy and reversing the meaning of some of these things. And my first ever event that I did about 13 years ago, I went and saw a demonstration on these types of things, and I was just being a voyeur. And I went and observed someone not really request consent, go to put a cuff on someone's arms, happened to be a African-American male, and his trauma response was huge, right? People have been in police handcuffs. People have been kidnapped, held in captivity. You never really know what a person has experienced or went through. And when you start getting into restraints, that's another area. So, sir, first and foremost, I'm going to pass one to you, to holding your hand. But I would love for you first, quality wise, from your professional standpoint, what do you think about the wrist restraint?
This is a good standard wrist restraint. The reason why is because how soft it is inside. And it doesn't really give you that rugged steel inside of it that you're putting on a heavy restraint. It's very, very lightweight when it comes to this. So it's a good cuff to start with if you want.
Right.
And it's more of, if you were putting this type of restraint on than the other restraints that's out there, this is more pleasing to the eye when it comes to certain people. And it doesn't really give you a trigger warning when it comes to the big, bulky stuff that's out there. Right?
Yes. I can, that's a really, really good point. And when you said soft, so, it's probably a bad joke, but I always would tell people at events, I don't want to go to my place of work or go somewhere and look like a victim. Oh, you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes the other cuffs and things leave the imprints on your arm that look a little questionable. So what I did love is and I came from politics, so I was always in a lot of those environments. So what I loved about this was when I would put them on and take them off, you would never be able to tell that I had some on my arm. I was also, again, it gets more hardcore as you go deeper into it, but it also has like a safety mechanism built into it. So they attach like this. But you could detach it at any given time to separate them and then attach to different things, right? But I want to ask you, Sunflower, we built this in so that people feel like they have a way out. A lot of times when people hear cuffs, they think somebody's telling you that they're going to put these things on your arm or the case is that you just got to go with the flow. But can you speak to the importance of choice when it comes to allowing a person to restrain or hold and put you in any sort of thing that holds you captive?
Well, first things first, don't ever, ever, ever feel like you have to stay in anything. You have the freedom at any time, before, during, and after, to say, no more. I don't want to do this anymore, like I said earlier. But the bondage can be a very freeing experience. Again, it's a lot of the mental blockage, emotional blockage. First and foremost, having done that work, once you recognize those traumas, that is also a very important thing. To kind of know your triggers, know what is going to put you in a certain space. But like they said, these are very soft. They're aesthetically pleasing. So it's not those mental things or those scratching things. It's something very soft and first and foremost. But with bondage, it's another way of building trust. So if the trust is not there in the beginning, let's not even go there with these or anything else you see on the table. But it will help you with communication. It will help you learn how to negotiate in the beginning what you want and what you don't want. But like what was said before, if you get into it and may I?
Yes, absolutely.
And let's say that they are on you for what
You want me to say? Look at her, look at her.
And I bet as soft as ever, I'm pretty sure they go great on.
Yes.
And you want to put one on your ankle or one on your wrist, but that's a whole nother.
You gotta be a band. We gotta do a shape session for them before that, right? So I'll pull it. Does that feel tight?
Not at all.
Okay, perfect. You want me to go further, Matt?
And thank you.
No problem. So I'm gonna go here to this one. I'm going to go ahead and strap that in, and that's what it feels like with resistance against it. It's really tight, it's really firm, but even still, I'm guiding her. We still got a lot of good control in that right there. This is also really good for the beverage strings because, when you get in bed, things get a little twisty. And then if you're in the wrong kind of cup, it can really be painful. So if it's someone who doesn't like pain, it might not feel good. But again, I love the fact sometimes I've forgotten I've had them on my wrist. Mm-hmm. And I went to the store. Guys. And I'm standing like this. And here's the worst part. Okay, I'm going to stand up. This is how I'm standing in line, forgetting that I have them on. I'm literally standing there like this, waiting for my turn in line.
Reminisce.
Just not even processing the fact that I'm standing here with these cuffs on. People are standing there looking, and I'm full figured. So at first I'm thinking they might be looking at me, but then I realized you in this store looking like you got kidnapped, like you're just trafficking.
Just picking up the grocery store.
Just nothing to see here. So be careful because they can get so comfortable that you forget you have them on. But yes, I love what you said there. And so one of the other things that I just wanted to point out and mention, you said something really important, sir, about aesthetically looking, that people don't see something and get intimidated. If you're not in this life, a lot of things you can see can be intimidating. I always say to people, when you do have that safety and that trust that you spoke about, Sunflower, and that person that guides you, it's really, really just important. Test it yourself. Don't go off of someone else's experience. Because we can share it, we can describe it, but everybody has different sensory systems in their body. And there's one sensory system, actually two, that I want to bring to the surface really quick before I shift, and that is your proprioceptive and your vestibular systems. I say that they're part of their senses. I call them the sixth and seventh sense. One of them deals with how your body responds to force and push and pull and things of that nature. So if someone goes to pick you up off the floor really hard, it makes you feel like you're flying up, versus when someone pushes you down on a bed, push your legs back, start touching stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Right. If you're the kind of person who likes how it feels when someone does that to you, then you might like a little bit of that rough housing kind of play. So the system that you're dealing with there, you're talking about these systems. And then the other is more so about gravity and space, time and space, how your body feels in time and space. So it's kind of like when you jump up, how you feel until you touch back down, right? That impact you feel coming down on the ground. It might make you wonder, like if you're standing at the ledge or something, that side of your body that makes your nervous system goes, ooh, we kind of high up. That's also that system. And the receptors of them are in your ears and your skins, your muscles, and your joints. So given that everybody's systems have experienced different things in life, some of us experience different traumas, especially if you had any physical traumas or sexual traumas, how you respond to how these things might feel can be very different from the person that told you about it. So go off of your own measure is what I'm essentially saying, and get a better sense of your sensory system and understanding how you respond to them. Now, speaking of senses, right? Because before we close out this conversation, I absolutely got to come to a little temperature, right? Temperature play is one of my favorite kind of plays. Okay. Take me up and bring me back down and then take me up again. And I'm someone who's super sensitive to cold, right? I'm naturally cold. I get cold so easily, but there are times where because of that, I might actually like the shock of cold first, followed by heat, but you can't leave me there. My partner had to learn that about me, right? We used to get, nasty and, you might get yours off and just lay there. And I noticed one day that after we finished, he grabbed my blanket, and wrapped me in it. And I wasn't sure why he did that. I was like, how do you know? Right. Another time he put my towel in the dryer and had it running until we were done so that he could wrap me in it. Same thing with the washcloth. You can't cold cloth me. You shouldn't cold cloth any woman after. Have some decency. But anyway. But he came with this super warm cloth and I thought I was done and it reactivated me. And I was just like, and it's because he was studying my body's reaction to different temperatures. And realizing that one seemed to bring me a deep, immense sense of calm and soothing while the other one put me on alert. And so I say that because sometimes people don't always verbalize it, but if you are an intentional partner, you're watching every reaction and you're using that information, right? So with temperature play, you really got to watch those responses. Serve, done, I done felt fire from his hands. He done shot me before. I love me some electricity. You go into that enough time, though. Y'all got to come to the Kink Conference. But one of my favorite things that he uses, that he creates himself, is his glow in the dark wax candles. So, sir, first I want to ask you to talk about why did you start making your own?
Well, first of all, when it comes to making candles, I had to feel comfortable with it because a lot of people, when it comes to what we do, don't like certain temperatures. So I sat down and I did my research on how to make a low to mid candle wax, burn candles for going and doing pickup play and doing it for regular people. So normally you can actually start off. I tell everyone at the very, very beginning, if they're very interested in doing candle wax, don't use your Yankee candle. Don't go home and say, hey, babe, and throw the Yankee candle on the person. That's very, very high and it has more chemicals in it to actually burn you. I always tell them in my Beating in the Budget class, the Jesus candles, the long Jesus candles.
So what did you see? That you see
from the Dollar Tree. Yes, from the Dollar Tree. They are very, very low to mid.
Okay.
So you can actually feel comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. And then they also have the old school long candles that you can actually start dripping it on. Feel comfortable with it yourself also to see how that feels. But I started mine because we were doing this so much. The expense of giving a high quality candle is very, very expensive. So I wanted to make sure, and plus I wanted to be different. So these activate with black lights with all neon. So the neon orange, yellow, and the green and the pink.
I'll insert an image of this so that you can see what it looks like on the body under black light too.
So these are very, very, I made sure that I had, it's mixed, both with soy and preferent. And I wanted to make sure that when you burn it, the soy will activate to see how soft it is. But when it hits your skin, it hardens up so it can easily come off when it comes to the candles.
That was a lot. That's a lot of thought and intention and things that you probably thought you didn't even have to think about. So it's super, super important for folks to hear this type of stuff, because you know how it is. You see one of the movies or Don't Be a Menace or something, and they usually do these things in a light mockery. You know, they find that the neighborhood freaky girl who's into these extra things, and they don't realize how many of his neighborhood roundaway girls is into those freaky things. But one of the other things that I always talk about with folks when they're trying, and again, BK, we trying to introduce, because we recognize that this is not every day for a lot of people, is this is one version of our candles. These are CBD infused lavender fragrance, soy candles, but they're massage candles. So this is not wax. That is the difference. I want you to know that. But what I really love these for is to actually pregame the body before. And not because I can't handle the heat of that, but because the CBD increases the sensory systems in my body. So I'm actually more sensitive a little bit, and it actually makes that feel more immense for me personally. So I'm going to open this really quick because I want you to get to smell it, because I like to just want to smell it, how I feel. I was at a lifestyle event and we were using this and people just started gravitating towards the room. And it was because they were smelling it and it was pulling them in. It was like, what is going on? You know, I kept seeing people come in, they instantly felt relaxed. So if a person's nervous, this can be really good to help them feel a sense of calm first. Okay. And also can be a great way to do it after, right? Because the same thing can happen. Some people like aftercare that involves that heat, especially if you have using a lot of intense things. So this is how it looks there, right? And it burns really well. It smells so good, right? So you don't need to even get that close to your face to pick it up. It's naturally going to do that. And just to kind of show you, this is a vegan candle first and foremost, and most of our products are vegan, but the ones that aren't are still hypoallergenic and paraben free, because you mentioned those ingredients. There are a lot of flammable things that people don't realize, and you're getting into playing with things that can actually be dangerous in other ways. Or, you know, you could be dropping it on your good carpet and struggle getting it out.
And I made sure that
they come out really, but I can't testify to that. I'm just scraping it on my hand, right? And I'm gonna put a little bit there. Actually, let me get a little extra. And what I would love to ask Sunflower is for you to take this into your hands, and please take the hand of your sir and gently just to begin massaging his hands. Right. And I'm going to talk while they're having this moment. Now, you guys see it's in its regular form, but just the heat from your hands rubbing is to start to open up the oils. So it doesn't actually need to be lit by fire, but that's how you know it burns super quick. Right. I love this because a lot of times when you're in submissive space, you see a lot of times we're the ones getting all the sexy stuff happening to us and don't realize how much energy and exertion it takes for the person who's the pleaser to deliver pleasure. So this doesn't have to be just in a power dynamic. This can be any traditional relationship where there is someone who is just always driving the pleasing side, and other person who just tends to be a little bit more on the receiving side. And ladies, y'all know how them numbers tend to shape out. We usually the one getting. But I love that this can be a simple way. You don't have to be in a private space, right? You can be in public and helping to each other just decompress or take the tension and stress out their hands. If you're partner drives, trucks on the road or long driving and things like that can help if they type, they game, any of those things that can help lead to carpal tunnel. This is a simple way to help your person maintain their physical health of the hands, right? And when you want to drive it up a notch, you know, you can do that later with the heat and follow that heat with an actual wax candle afterwards, right? So it allows you to keep temperature flowing throughout. Other thing I love is that when you go and smell your hand, you're just going to get a reminder of it, right? The smell just sticks with you. I have been in places where I get stressed and overwhelmed, and I just hold my hands here, or I'll just hold my hands here, and I take some deep breath. I do breath work. So I'm just sharing these tips because these are ways that we can kind of get versatile uses out of things. And, you know, it don't have to be that crazy, but you can also heat it up real good. And when you see how he throw these candle waxes and just hair splatter, you can do it the same way too. So, sir, can you just really quick, speak about, for a new person, how an oil before the wax is significant and why that can matter for a person, because they might not understand why we might pregame with it.
So basically with pre-gaming, for your gaming with the candle wax, it's more of feeling comfortable with it. The oil actually brings the temperature down more from when it comes to the splashing. So no matter what you do with the candle, how far the body is, the closer you get, this is going to get hotter. Even if normally when you have it lit, if you blow it out, the temperature starts going down from it, from a low, and higher you get, it's going to be lower temperature also. So just say it's 100%. By the time you blow it out, let it sit for a minute, the temperature goes down even more. But a lot of people like high heat. And when it comes to the high heat, normally have it still lit, but have it in an angle to a point that it's still actually melting and then slowly dripping it down. So you'll still get that same percentage of the heat towards it. So like I said, closer is more heat, and then higher up because of the splash control of it.
Okay.
So normally with the splash control, when it comes to, I made sure that I made it that it won't splash all over the place.
Right.
And that's another thing.
For you contain kind of splatter.
Right. And it's the actual container too, that normally some people have like a pour spout in it or everything else. This one, this is basically the 8. It's more of splashing because with my performances and things like that, I like to splash all over the place.
He makes art, y'all. He just makes, if you're an artistic person and you just like visual, or you're a visual person and you just like seeing your partner, this is to me like when you see body paint or when you see a partner in a lingerie, how that can excite you, just seeing the colors and this masterpiece created on top of your masterpiece it's beautiful. So I would tell you guys, if you are interested in experiencing it and feeling that glow on your skin and seeing the beauty in the art, you can do a photo shoot. They can become art pieces in your home, right? Without your face in it. People would never know that, you know, that's what it is. So head over to Tender Stroke Toys and check out Sir Daniel's merchandise. And again, like I shared, we don't have it in front of us, but I can put in some images of the furniture pieces and things that he also crafts. I heard you say before you used to do work with your hands, you used to do those type of things. So the fact that you converted that skill over is just.
I appreciate it, because when I was online trying to find floggers to suit me, I could not find any floggers to suit me, and I was messing up. I was spending hundreds of dollars on things that broke in my hand, literally. And because that's why I was like, I know I can do this when it comes to that, because when I was growing up, carpentry was my thing and everything else. So that's when I went to my first leather store. And also with leather, rope floggers and everything else would be great for some people that want to start, because a lot of people think leather hurts. Leather don't hurt. The user, when he's swinging it, will make it hurt.
Now, if it's some gator skin.
Right. So what happened was I made my first flogger because how I wanted to make it longer. I went to a dungeon, and a gentleman was my height, my build and everything else, came to me, and he was like, where you get these floggers from? And I was like, I made them. And it's like, I give you $200 for it right now. I was like, okay. And then every time I went, the same gentleman, he was like, you need to start building them. You need to start making them and everything else. So that's when I started making the floggers. Then I really wanted to do a dungeon in my house, but I had younger kids at that time. So I made adjustable furniture that you can actually put it in your closet when you're done. But when you bring it out, it's adjustable and everything else.
I've seen him travel across states with this stuff, so I already know it's super portable. I mean, when I tell you this man can set up a dungeon anywhere, I mean, anywhere. Give him a couple square feet, and baby, it will be a whole nother space. And I love the colors that I've seen you do things with. So there's that customization of making it feel like your own. I have had the pleasure of having my own photo shoot on a furniture piece that you did. I'll share those with you guys as well. But such dope quality comfort, and I'm not tiny girl, and I've been on a few different your benches, things like that, and it has held me. So that's also a testament. You want to feel secure on that bad boy. So I just want to also point out, guys, just as we're closing now, aftercare. I know I mentioned it earlier, and it's really important to understand how to make your partner feel sound after. It goes both ways as well, but typically the person who is bottoming, who is the person that's receiving most of the sensations and stimulations, will need some form of immediate care. So it's important to discuss the types of things that make you feel comfort, that make you feel good after, and doesn't leave you feeling at this heightened place, because that could be a little tricky. And one of the things that I'll share that I learned, again, not just the candles. If you don't want to have a heat element, there is like our relaxation cream and our soothing serum that I love for it because it's just cool. So he's someone who likes a cool touch to kind of help bring you down or deal with your pain. This can be really great for it. But I want to close in our final segment called Money Making Monday. Well, this is just the opportunity where, and you kind of already did it. He done already told you how he started making money in this business. But a lot of times what you said is so dope. You're doing something because you love it. And then you found out that this was something that people will pay for. And that conversion of taking it and turning it into something different that actually you can monetize. That's what we do with our experiences, our parties, products, allow our community members to come in as consultants and have access to sell products that were made with a lot of intention and quality, without having to do all of the research to a degree that you did, even though I recommend everybody research everything because you should want to know anyway. But can you talk about, there's two things. How can they contact you to purchase things if they're interested, or, ask questions about that? And just a little bit real quick about what they can expect at the Kink conference coming up in July.
You want to go first?
You redo the conference?
Which conference first?
So Northeast Conference of Kink, or NEC for short, is based out of Baltimore, Maryland. We do hold the dungeon. This will be the 5th year for the Fetish Ball event overall. This is the 4th year. Sorry, my math ain't mathing. But this is it is a conference that is held. It is body positivity, sex positivity. We are all inclusive conference. It's not like the heavy duty VSM leather conferences like most people are used to. It does promote mental health, sexual health, freedom to express yourself in all avenues. We do performances. We have classes during the daytime. It's a Friday, Saturday event. We do meet and greets. This lovely lady here was our hostess, best hostess ever.
Oh, thank you.
And just kept it fun and entertaining and live. So it is an all-encompassing event. We will be hosting. We have littles time for those that are familiar with our world. We do have littles and middles. I personally am a middle. We'll have our own little thing so you can come out and experience that. We'll do cigar socials. It's just a really good, fun weekend that you can learn about all those things, but at the same time have fun too. We'll have vendors and everything. You can check www.northeastkink.com. You can register there, see the hotel information there, and kind of take a look back over the years of what we've done before. So please come out. It's July 11th through the 13th, 2025, Baltimore, Maryland. We do host it at a dungeon. It'll be the experience is worth it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And so, sir, and where can they connect to get products if they're interested?
You can reach out to me on Instagram, Tenderstroke Toys. It's also online, www.tenderstroketoys.com. And it's very affordable. I made sure that we stayed, of course, we're going to make a profit, but we want to make sure that you feel comfortable with the pricing that we give and everything else. So, we do, deliver. We do, go around and build it if you need us to build it inside. We have done several dungeons from start to finish. And also, we also, donate also when it comes to certain things, too. So we are here to help, open people's minds up in the community base for beginners, and also to people that have been in the lifestyle for a while that want to give back.
I love that. So first, I want to thank you guys for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your transparency. I do not take it lightly, and I appreciate you feeling safe to do so. And I want to also let you guys know, we're very big on the education element. As a company at Bedroom Candy, we have monthly events virtually that you can tune into for free to learn about different things. And upcoming for Women's History Month, you can tune into our women's sexuality history. This is going to be a really, really cool event where our Bedroom Candy CAC, which stands for Consultant Advisory Council, the top of the pile, are going to be educating and exploring how historical narratives had shaped women's sexual perceptions today. It's going to be talking about how you can use some of our BK products to explore and map your body and your pleasure. And it's designed to be something really, really geared towards empowerment and helping you take back your body, take back your pleasure, take back your autonomy, and be liberated. Little Kiki. Okay, you should. Make sure you guys head over to www.bedroomcandy.com/events. And that's going to always be where you can find that info. Or you can catch us on all of the social media accounts we have. It's always Bedroom Candy. And usually in our bio, you can find a link that's going to always teach you how to get registered for our upcoming events. So tune in because it's free. I mean, who don't want free knowledge, information, and pleasure pathways? That has been this week's episode of the Business of Pleasure podcast. I hope to see you guys again next Monday. Bye.